Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oops, sorry, had trouble finding the button. How you doing? Good morning at you. It's September 4th, believe it or not. And got a lot to talk about and not enough time, I suspect. But fasten your seatbelts. I got a feeling we're going to cover a lot of ground today. Dear God, the problem is always where to start. I don't have a lot of fun and frolic. Although I want to say I did something I don't normally do. Yesterday I watched some local television news, and there was a good story. There was a good story about government working for people, making people's lives better, and all because of tax dollars being well spent. And I just wanted to tell you, the story just made me happy. It did. And it was about the what's called a RAD pass, something I hadn't even known about. I knew RAD, that's the Regional Asset District, which is a governmental creation that takes in money and then gives it out to cultural institutions, I believe, and other worthy organizations that make Pittsburgh and Allegheny County a better place. And it is funded in large part, I believe, by a 1% tax that Allegheny County residents pay. And I'm sure it's so rare to see a tax added in this era because Americans are just seemingly universally opposed. But this tax just seems to do so much good. And the RAD Pass, which I didn't know about, makes the area's cultural venues available to people for free or for reduced prices. I mean, including the Pittsburgh Symphony or, the opera or City Theater, or that if you have a RAD pass funded by that 1% tax, you can apply for tickets that are available at a lower cost and or at no cost at all. Now, obviously, for events where other people are paying full fare, like the symphony, this is dependent on the seats that are available. But my gosh, I just, people who, because of, financial circumstances, who are unable to take advantage of these just wondrous opportunities, educational and otherwise, artistic and otherwise, the zoo, it just goes on and on and on, the list of the Children's Museum, the Science, Carnegie, the Warhol, all of those museums and so many other entities. And that treasure trove of knowledge, information, the best of civilization is available. And all you need to do to access it is get a library card. Well, that's the first step, but there's not a lot of steps after that. Pretty incredible. I just want to say that that's government doing, to me, what government should. So, I'm sorry, I just got the weirdest text. It said, I'll tell you, I have a doctor's appointment with the guy who cut part of my lung out later today. And I just got a text from my friend saying, I got a call from that doctor's office checking to see if you could come in earlier today. They can't reach you directly, so they asked me to I thought, what? And then I realized she is somebody I have down as, somebody they can share information with. But will you excuse me just for she said she knows I'm doing my show, but could I text? Okay, yeah, just it's going to be quick. I just have to say I can't. I can't. Okay, there, done. Whoa, that is so weird. Yeah, libraries. God bless them. And the Rad Pass, I did not know. And apparently, this has been something that has been out there, but not, it's been expanded. I mean, and even things like what's the place in Lawrenceville, the Contemporary Crafts, which is an amazing place. And they offer classes and stuff. And apparently the pass then allows access into that. I mean, just for people who don't have disposable income, what a wonderful thing. So often, the cultural stuff is accessible only to people with money. And I've often thought about families, wanting to take their children. What do you do for a weekend? You want to get them away from the friggin' screens. There's so many places to take them where they can be entertained and learn and have fun. But there are admission fees. And with this pass, man, you're in. It's just amazing to me. Just amazing. So, I want to say I am more than happy to pay that tax. That is one hell of a great tax. 1 effing %. God bless them. So, that was good. That made me happy. Something that didn't make me happy that I also saw because I went on to watch some network news was again, the kind of story that network news covers now, which is not about your government. It's always something with death, and it's police radio stuff from all over the world. And this one was a funicular crash. And I saw today in the paper, that was the headline, I think in the Washington Post, funicular crash, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people know what the hell a funicular is? Now, those of us who live in Pittsburgh might know, even though we don't call it normally the funicular. We call it the incline. But a funicular is, a trolley on a rail that's going almost vertical. up a steep hill or mountain. And there are very few of them in the world. And I believe Pittsburgh might be, correct me if I'm wrong, might be the only place in the United States or even North America with one, with two funiculars. And this funicular that was in the news is in Lisbon, Portugal. And, man, a cable broke and loaded with people. It came crashing down. And the latest death toll I saw was 17 and a lot injured. And I read the article, and then I looked at some of the comments, and immediately the comments started talking about Pittsburgh and how there's no, I don't know if there's I don't think there's ever been such a crash in Pittsburgh. I don't believe so. And they also said that the Pittsburgh funiculars are higher and steeper than the one that crashed in Lisbon. But, and also that in Pittsburgh, somebody had pointed out, there's greater safety precautions in that you are not allowed to put as many people in one car, in one funicular, as the folks in Lisbon were doing. They packed them in. But, man, I don't know. There must be another funiculars somewhere in the country, but I'm not aware of any. Johnstown, you're right. You're right. There is one in Johnstown as well. There should be. Yeah. I mean, given our geography, right. And these, I guess these were mostly so that, right, workers more than anybody, so that it's the same reason we have all those steps in Pittsburgh, so that workers could get down to the mills, right? What do I know? But funicular, a lot of people never saw that word or heard that word before. But yeah, we in Pittsburgh were ahead of the game, and I can't imagine. I believe almost all of the dead and injured are tourists, because that's who does it there. Brooke says there's a funicular in Horseshoe Bend. Okay, I stand totally corrected. But I don't think, and there's some South American city I know. I guess where there tend to be high hills or mountains, you might have some funiculars. But people don't call them that. And they are, relatively rare, I guess. I'm going to share a quote with you that I saw. It was said by a comedian. It's a bit of dark humor, but I want to see if you get it. I'm just going to say it and leave it, and maybe come back to it a little bit later. But here it is. A lot of problems would be solved in America with a very lethal strain of COVID and an effective vaccine. That's what the comedian said. And I must say, I think there's truth in it. God, all you guys, you world travelers, Mab Road funiculars in Naples. Well, man, good for you. So anyway, Yeah, so a lot of problems will be solved in America with a very lethal strain of COVID and an effective vaccine. And that brings us to some of the news today that have to do with vaccines, right? And I mean, the one that just blows my mind is, I'll give you the quote. Here's a quote from someone. Who am I to tell you what your child should put in their body? Well, I'll answer the question. Who is he? Well, he is somebody in a position that is, in fact, supposed to tell parents what they should make sure their kids have in their body. The Surgeon General of the great state of Florida. Who am I to tell you? And then he went on. Your body is a gift from God. Yeah. Who are these? Where do they find these people? This is a doctor. He went on to say how the great state of Florida is in the process of absolutely ending any vaccine mandates for school children in the state. So in other words, no kid has to be vaccinated for anything, and they can go to school and sit next to your kid who might be immuno-compromised or whatever, but all of the states of the United States at this point have some vaccination requirements in place, and Florida's about to get rid of them. Who am I to tell you? So he's going to be working hard to end all vaccine mandates. And he went on to say this. This is the one that just, after the who am I to tell you, this crazy person goes on to say about the mandates. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. You know, I wish I didn't believe what I'm about to say, but I am really beginning to believe that ignorance is bliss. Because I got news for you. If you're in receipt of information, facts, a modicum of knowledge, there ain't a lot of bliss looking around at what's going on in our country and having to suffer the fools who are now in charge. Somebody said they were calling RFK Jr.'s actress wife, Carol Hines, the marvelous Mrs. Measles. Right. So, yeah, let's bring them back. These guys are nostalgic for the oddest things. I mean, I get that they're nostalgic for times when women knew their place and black folk knew their place and brown folk knew their place and gay people, place was in the closet. And I understand. I do get why they want to go back there, because they were, well, this is such a loaded word now, we're privileged in that place. And they feel they've lost some status since things have changed. But why, in the name of God, would anybody be nostalgic for measles and mumps, chicken pox, hepatitis, all manner of deadly diseases that used to kill so many children? Un-effing believable. And the state of Florida leading the way. Karen tells me we moved here 3 years ago from Pittsburgh. Well, we'll take you back in a minute, Karen. That was not a wise move. Come on home. We even got funiculars here. I can't imagine living. That state is about to become an extremely dangerous place for children. Well, for brown people, black people, gay people, women. Let's add on to that. And elderly people. You know why? Because that state attracts elderly people. And they are most vulnerable if they're living in a population that has a lot of unvaccinated people in it. Because there's going to be stuff out there, it's going to be spreading around, and they're going to die. The elderly, infants, people with immune issues, they're going to die. But ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. And who am I? I'm nobody to tell you anything. I'm just an idiot who believes that you listen to the people who know. See, I'm old school in that I believe that there are facts and knowledge, and that it has generally led to better lives for us all. Bernie Sanders writes in a guest op-ed in today's New York Times, "It is absurd to have to say this in 2025, but vaccines are safe and effective." And then he goes on to say, and don't listen to me, I ain't a doctor. He said medical experts all around the globe recently said that in the last 50 years, vaccines have probably saved up to 154 million lives that otherwise would be lost. And vaccines have reduced infant death by 40%. But who's the Surgeon General of the state of Florida to tell anybody that they should be vaccinated? And then we got Mr. Measles. The guy who heads our health complex in this country, RFK Jr., is a nut. I mean, against the overwhelming body of scientific evidence, he claims autism is caused by vaccines. The COVID-19 vaccine, he said, was the deadliest ever made. I don't know about you, but I'm instead going to listen to the World Health Organization, from which this country has resigned, by the way, because they said that COVID vaccine saved over 14 million lives in 2021 alone. Mr. Measles, the genius that he is, has actually pondered this question. Did the polio vaccine kill more people than polio itself? Mm-hmm. Sitting here in Pittsburgh with our funiculars and our claim to Dr. Jonas Salk, who came up with that vaccine, we sit here in stunned, I was going to say silence, but that doesn't work for me. And then Senator Sanders goes on to say that, he was once chair, not too long ago, of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and something committee. And he had a hearing with experts who are not popular anymore, with experts about how this country should best protect itself from another pandemic. And he said, without exception, every single expert that came before that committee said that they obviously could not predict when, but they all said there will be a pandemic in our future, and we got to be better prepared than we sure as hell were in 2020. And we were sort of on the way to trying a little bit to do that, but then the fools rushed in. And Mr. Measles has canceled nearly $500 million in research for the very kind of vaccine that saved millions upon millions upon millions of people during COVID. So they're going to throw people off of Medicaid. I got to tell you. So anyway, Bernie Sanders' piece in the New York Times is called "Kennedy Must Resign." Don't hold your breath, Bernie. And that is why, understandably, the western states, California, Washington, Oregon, have formed a health alliance, and they say that they're going to be giving out to the residents of our West Coast different guidelines for vaccines and other things than what's coming out of Mr. Measles and the Trump death machine in Washington. And I know that our governor has met with governors of other northeastern states to begin talking about forming a similar health alliance. So this is just more of the destruction of our country. With states literally seceding in ways from the federal government to protect their citizens. a lot of problems would be solved in America with a very lethal strain of COVID and an effective vaccine. If you don't get it, let me know. So speaking of op-eds in the New York Times, there was one. Actually, I spent over a half hour this morning early reading two very long pieces with which I totally disagreed. Two pieces that were arguing from the other side. And they were both written by clearly very bright people. And it's daunting to realize that people possessed of good heads can end up thinking differently than I do. Oh, God. No, but I do have to, a part of me was saying, I can't believe this is in the New York Times. And then I thought, oh, shut up. Why shouldn't it be? We've gotten to the point where, again, we should see, hear what other people are saying, even if it leaves us breathless. Let me share just a little. I'm not kidding. This guy, and it's beautifully written. If you ask me, if you don't have a soul, let me find it. Oh, here's part of it. Well, he starts by saying, what comes next? He says, wait, I don't want to bother you with some of this stuff. That he's saying it's a critical inflection point for President Trump, who has used the first phase of his second term to swing a wrecking ball through the American establishment with astonishing speed and force. And I start reading that and I'm thinking, yeah, what is coming next? I think I know. And then this guy freaks me out. He points out some of what I'm seeing too. The global economic order upended. Foreign aid programs gutted. Entire agencies shuttered. And his list is longer. And then he says, but what now? And I was confused by some of the things on his list. But here is what he says. Each of these actions was a necessary first step toward the kind of reform championed by the administration's officials and supporters. New trading relationships cannot take form until partners accept that the old arrangements are over. Employers will not think about how to create jobs that Americans will do until they lose access to their supply of illegals. He goes on to laud the destruction and then actually says, watching the demolition was thrilling for those fed up with the old and eager for the new. Wow. Now that is something we've got to take in. That what has appalled, frightened us has thrilled others. It's what they've always wanted, the destruction of everything that this country has built up, I would argue, since FDR in the last 100 years. And they have a plan. We've seen it. And we're starting to see it being played out. And the plan has nothing to do with we the people. The plan is, well, it's all about them gaining control, right? Watching the demolition was thrilling. And then he goes on to laud the fact that everything's working fine. And though the economy shows signs of slowing, prices have risen less than expected. The employment rate remains low. Despite dark predictions from the president's harshest detractors, the assembly lines have not ground to a halt. The crops are not rotting in the fields, and the Social Security checks continue to arrive on time. That reminded me of Franco and how the trains ran on time. Wow. Just effing wow. You know, I also saw a headline that said 37%, poll shows 37% of Americans are against the president sending troops into our cities. 37%. And you know what I'm thinking? He doesn't care. So what? Is he worried they won't vote for him again? I mean, right, he can't run again, but on the other hand, someone he chooses could, or he could, we don't know, and he knows the election will be assured. So he doesn't worry about what the people want. He knows 37% of Americans, I don't mean 37% of Americans are against troops, only 37% support. I said absolutely incorrectly, right? Wrong. 63% of Americans are against troops. Jesus, Cullen. Not good with numbers. 63%. He doesn't care. That's about the same number that think he's doing an okay job, 37%. It doesn't matter. The great unwashed will not be chiming in. Roger's thinking of the good old days. He says, yeah, I hearken back to when we were free to get black lung disease, polio, measles, the bubonic plague, when old people died at 45. Indians stayed on the reservation and blacks in the back of the bus. Men were men and women were glad of it. Now where's my beer? Dingbat. All right, Roger. Yeah, I know. That is yep. They the good old days. Okay, so some quickies. What the hell is going on in Fayette County? The poor children. I saw 2 news stories. One where a mother is accused of killing her daughter. They were looking for this missing child. They found her. She's dead. The mother's been charged. And then there's this couple who has been arrested. These are both Fayette County. Has been arrested for keeping what? They had 5 children locked up in a boarded room with no beds, barely food. They tased them. They had no access to the outdoors, toilet facilities, window. I mean, what? Fayette County, ladies and gentlemen, that's Trump country. My God. Okay. And you see that the Trump folks are trying to talk Mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, a fine man, into stepping down from running for re-election because they think he's going to not win. And they are fearful that with him in the race and Cuomo in the race and Curtis Sliwa in the race, that this Mamdani is going to prevail, and they don't want him. Which is odd, because a lot of Republicans are just itching for the Democratic Socialist to win so that they can, paint all Democrats as loony lefties and commies. But Trump, being a real estate guy from New York, is thinking about properties and what the socialists might do in that regard. And so they're thinking of literally, how is this not interference in the people's ability? Shut the fuck up! Why do they keep calling? Okay, I know what you're saying. Why don't you silence your effing phone, Cullen? I don't, because then I'll forget to turn it back on. And why should that matter? Because it turns out people trying to reach me, I don't answer anyway, like the doctor I have to go see. I don't understand any of it. Anyway. They're literally trying to, you take any election, they try to rig it. So they're trying to rig it so that Mamdani is only going to be running against Cuomo. They think they got a shot then. And they're talking about giving Adams a nice cushy job somewhere. I'm sure making sure that all these charges brought against him will come to nothing. Unbelievable. So there's that. And then I'm just going to race through a bunch of stuff here, if you don't mind. Did you see that Senator Mark Warner, who is the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, had a meeting at the CIA, or something like it, because as a ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, he does have, obviously, legal access to be briefed about things, and he had with some higher up there. And Admiral Whitworth. And I guess he was on his way, and when he got there, he was told he couldn't get in. Was not allowed in. And he was enraged. And he's quoted in the New York Times as saying, "How the hell did this happen?" First of all, it was a totally unpublicized, classified meeting. And then he found out how it happened. Laura Loomer, the Trump troller in chief, had found out about this private, secret, classified meeting because, why wouldn't Laura Loomer be in the inside loop? She has no classification clearance at all. But she found out, and she went to, what she and Trump do. She went right to Truth Social and started squawking about how dare they give Senator, this Democrat operative, this deep state actor, the right to our intel community to continue their efforts to sabotage Trump. She went on to say Warner should be removed from office and tried for treason. Yep. How the hell did this happen? Said Senator Warner. Wow. Laura Loomer, ladies and gentlemen. If she and Stephen Miller were to get together, you know what? Their offspring would be Satan incarnate. I mean, just mix those two. And you would have the devil. I didn't point it out before, but I just want to note, something you note, and it's old news by now, but it's Thursday, and I do old news on Thursday, that Trump has pulled Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. And we all know that she is a target. And it's just amazing how they clearly want people that are in jeopardy, that they would like removed. It's, again, no subtlety. No subtlety at all. Karen, who's stuck in Florida, says about her move, "I know it wasn't wise. We move for family. We do miss the melting pot that is so wonderfully fluid in Squirrel Hill, but we can't take the cold anymore. Don't worry, it's heating up. So we're fighting down here. I go to as many protests as I can, involved as much as I can. Alrighty, Karen, we all make our choices, but I will not step foot in Florida. Personally. Did you see that? And this again is old news. I'm sorry, Karen. That's what happens when parents are there or children and grandchildren are there. Oh, man. Damn. So, the Pentagon is restoring the portrait of General Robert E. Lee to its place of honor. Now, really, stop and digest that. Robert E. Lee is lucky to have not been hung. Robert E. Lee, by any definition, was a traitor. And the Pentagon, those charged with defending the country from traitors and those who would destroy it, are restoring the traitor's portrait. He was such a handsome man, and boy, he sat so well on a horse. And when doing so, they said this: under this administration, we honor our history. What? Excuse me? You honor the people? The traitor? You honor those who tried to maintain slavery? You honor your history as you go after the Smithsonian and every other museum and every other program or agency that even mentions our history? I mean, here's a guy, a West Point grad, who writes for the American Conservative. Oh, this is, I am assuming, an American Conservative. His name is Andrew Basevich. And upon hearing this, by the way, the portrait of the handsome traitor sitting astride his horse also includes a black slave. Anyway, this West Point grad, retired colonel, upon hearing all this, wrote in the American Conservative, there's no way to excise Robert E. Lee from history. That he should occupy a place of honor, though, is something of an obscenity. Yeah, that would be correct. Oh, man, what do I do? Nah, I can't bear it. I got two more things here. They're awful, so let's go to an obit to end things on a proper note. In defense of Fayette County, Gigi writes, just wanted to let you know that Fayette County has a very active Democratic women's group which has been organizing weekly protests in the county for months. Yes, it's a very red county, but there's a lot of resistance there. It surprises me how many honks of support the group gets. I hope it's more than they get here in my neighborhood at Shady and Fifth. There was one incident a few weeks ago, though, of someone rolling coal, oh dear, as they drove past the protest. That is the practice of modifying diesel exhaust so you can blast people with black soot. Yep, rolling coal. That person was identified and charged by police. Anyway, just wanted to let you know, and your listeners, there is hope in Fayette County. Okay, thank you for that. Now, the obit of the day is a woman I am ashamed to not have known because of, although I'd love to have known her, what a wondrous character. Her name is Rosalyn Drexler. Did that ring a bell? Man, she's dead, but she lived a long life, 98 years old. God bless her. I mean, I don't know where you start with somebody like her. I'll start with a quote from one of her friends, Nora Ephron, who in 1965 already was writing about this woman. There is a feeling among Rosalyn Drexler's friends that she is carrying this Renaissance women bit a little too far. That was in 1965. She'd barely begun. This woman won 3 Obie Awards as a playwright. She won an Emmy Award as a comedy writer. She was an acclaimed novelist. She was a lauded pop art painter and sculptor and a funky nightclub singer. She was also a book critic and a film critic for the New York Times and other publications. She was a lifelong feminist, and did I add, she was also a one-time professional wrestler. Yeah, Renaissance woman, I would say so. Rosalyn Drexler, God bless you. Man, I mean, you can't even make it up. I mean, she had huge exhibitions as an artist in the 60s. She had 2 musicals that won Obies. Clive Barnes, the noted critic for the New York Times, said she was the queen of the underground drama. When she published her first novel in 1965, what the hell? Did she sleep? Is what I want to know. She was compared to J.D. Salinger. Another person called one of her novels Kafka, as interpreted by the Marx Brothers, and another, she must have been very funny. Another critic referred to her as the first Marx sister, and in fact, she was not a Marx, but Chico Marx did happen to be a cousin of hers by marriage. And it was with Lily Tomlin that she won the Emmy for Lily Tomlin's 1974 comedy special, which was simply Lily. I have a Lily doll that Lily Tomlin sent me, and it's autographed. I'm trying to remember why I had a connection with her at one point. Do you believe it? I don't remember what connected me with her. What the hell was that? She did come here to give a speech, a performance of sorts at the Carnegie Lecture Hall, and I do remember, yes, speaking with her, talking to her there, but there was something before. And I don't remember what the hell it was. Damn it. I should have taken notes. Anyway, this Drexler shared the writing Emmy with Lily Tomlin, Richard Pryor, and Lorne Michaels. Whoa! And the show itself won the Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Special. So, I mean, this thing goes on and on and on and on, and you can't even believe it. She was the daughter of Jewish immigrants from Russia. She said her parents spoke Yiddish at home to keep secrets from us. And she traced the beginnings of her writing career to putting her parents' arguments, I guess the ones in English, on paper and presenting them with the evidence. I don't know. She excused them for not being sort of like today's parents and, telling her she was wonderful all the time. And she said this, and I wish some other people would tell the parents of today this. Here's her quote. Total encouragement is very unhealthy for a child. I think it is. I agree. I'm not saying, I'm just saying this constant, you're wonderful, and it gives kids no, get me started. Anyway, she said, I'm glad I had a sort of unhappy childhood because I think she thought it made her the creative, funny person that she was. Anyway, she kept changing all the time, and here's the last thing of the obit is, in an interview in 2016, she talked about dealing with starting something new, doing something new, which she obviously did all the time. She said, I just tell myself, just be honest. Say something that means something. And amuse yourself. I love this woman. I wish I'd known her. Rosalyn Drexler. Artistic whirlwind who defied categories. Dead at 98. All right, I went over. That's it. I'm done. Believe it or not, I'm going to go work out. Got to do it while I can. You guys have a good weekend. God help us. We hope we'll be here on Monday to talk about the next horrors in the police state that used to be known as the beloved United States of America.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.